Okay, I'm always talking about Howler. Let's this is Howler. Project Dog Waffle Pro, what it used to be called, and now it is Howler. Very dog centric. The difference between Howler and Project Dog Waffle Artist is this animation menu right here, and I'm sure some other changes, but here we can load an AVI, we can load image sequence, and then if you do load an AVI, you can save it as an image sequence, or you can load a sequence and save it as an AVI, vice versa. Really powerful in that respect, and has really won my heart over. When you're importing an AVI, you get this dialog where you don't have to start it at the first frame, and you don't have to end at the last frame. It'll give you your total frame count here after selecting this kind of stuff. And if you don't want to just enter the numbers, you can actually see where you want to start by using the sliders. Okay, which is very, very useful stuff. But I want to bring in the whole thing, so let's open it. You'll see something very familiar because I just built this scene in Carrara, and I was unhappy with the fact that I didn't inject any camera motion into this one bit. Okay, I don't often use Howler to readjust my camera motion, even though I'm going to. I just haven't gotten that far in my production yet to where that's what I'm doing. What I'm doing instead is using Howler to apply effects and do some color grading. Color grading is really neat. I can use this color matrix here and give it some nice changes, and then instead of just applying it to this one frame, if I hit OK, it would just apply it to the one frame. But let's take a little bit of that saturation out of there now, and I want to change the hue to something that'll complement the glass a little better on there. Okay, that's kind of looking the way I want it. Everybody has a different take on how they want to grade their colors. Something more like that. Maybe bring the saturation back up a little. I don't know. Okay, let's just say that I really like this, and yeah, I wanted it to be a little more bright like that. Not too much. I already brightened it up with the gamma. Okay, let's just say I wanted to keep this. I can just click animate. It's gonna double check, make sure I did want to apply that to all of the frames, and voila. This is one of the things that I use Howler for a lot. That's amazing, because it's not always that easy to get the colors that you want to finally see in the end in your actual initial render. Now I could have just stepped in it right there. I know rendering does have an art to it. I'm not saying that you can't get the colors that you want out of a render, because you can. For the longest time, I wasn't expecting on doing any post work on my animations because I didn't know how to. I got Dog Waffle Howler because I needed an art program for textures, and I was very delighted to find out that there's so much more. I was actually thinking about getting Artist, but all of the Project Dog Waffle stuff is so inexpensive that I just got the highest the most expensive one of them all, because it's just not expensive. Now here we have this timeline editor, and the neat thing about this, there's actually a lot of neat things about this, but let's I'm just gonna, instead of trying to explain Howler, Philip Steiger is so much better at explaining things. I'm actually just going to use it, and let's see where we can go from there. And right now I'm going to turn the level down so I can see exactly what I'm doing. And let's put a lens flare. Oh, where do I want a lens flare? How about right here in this back light here? And I want it to be, is that it? That's where it is. And I want it to be this little red guy here. And now I'll bring up the level, and I want to set it to something really little, just like that. Okay, and now I'm going to keyframe that. Now I'm going to cruise along. I want to make sure that that thing follows it. It's actually, I'm actually not right on the light right from the start, I don't think. So I need to actually move it. It's a little bit difficult working in this tiny little screen like that, and but that's alright. It's so much better than not having that tiny little screen. And let's add just a little bit more to it than that. Okay, let's go right. That's not adding more. That's okay. So there we go. And now I'm going to move the timeline ahead. I'm going to watch for the plane to move, and so just before it moves, I'm going to add another keyframe. And I'm going to wait for it to stop moving. I'm going to bring this down. Is that where I want it? It's pretty close. And now why don't I just give it a tiny little flare up for whatever reason. It's my movie, I can do what I want. Wait for it to stop moving. Bring it up there. And now I'm going to make it even higher of a level. Set a keyframe. I'm going to come in the middle here, and I'm going to bring the level back down. Let's see. I'm going to undo. I didn't keyframe that, so I didn't have anything to undo. I'm going to go in here. And bring it down. Keyframe that. Bring it here. Bring it up. Almost as if there's something wrong, some kind of flashing going on. Bring it here. Bring it back down. Go back here. Bring it back down. What's going on here? What's this one? This one's high. This one, I see what happened. I just didn't add the keyframe. Let's just bring it back down. Add a keyframe. There we go. Okay, and just like in Carrara, you can grab your keyframes and drag them around. Now he was up there. He's moving to there, he stops. I'm going to bring this back down to where I kind of think the light should be, and I'll leave it bright like that for now. Create the keyframe, come back here, and I'm going to bring it down, create keyframe, come here, bring it up, create keyframe, down, bring it back down, create keyframe. Now just let it slowly bring back up. Oh. Seems to be a jump right there. Down. Right there. Right there. Let's keyframe that. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and bring that down, and then keyframe it, and then I'll just come in here and bring it up. So there'd be that one flash in there that's kind of a little more intermittent than normal. Here I'm going to bring it back down. And create a keyframe. And why not? Let's just continue doing that. Bring it back up. Create keyframe. Go back over here and we'll bring it back down. Now, if I wanted to, I could continue this flashing thing going back in through here, but and see, there's that little jump in there. I'm not sure if that's actually going to jump in the animation or not. But anyway, I'm just basically showing off how you can add and animate lens flares in here. Okay, well, not just lens flares. You can do all kinds of stuff. I can save the undo if I want, or what can be actually a little faster than saving and undo, well, not faster than saving and undo, but something that's a good practice is to store the animation. You can save it on your hard disk if you like, but I'm just going to save it to memory. And I did that before I applied this. Now I'm going to apply this, and if I don't like the outcome, if I don't want to just rely on the undo, all I have to do is click on this image and it'll bring it right back. So now let's drop that out of the way and let's see what we've got. And see, I'm not exactly on it, and if I actually wanted to do something like that, I would actually render that something there to be more visible, something easier for me to track and apply that type of thing to. But you see how easy that was to do, and all while I'm just sitting here babbling. And then what I was talking about before, see, now just in case I want to go back to this, I can go save this one too. Actually, it's not saving it, that's just storing it. And then I just click on this, restore this animation. The current animation or image will be lost. Yes, let's do that. And there it is. And we have our animation back the way it used to be. Okay, and let's look at this timeline some more. Thing is cool. You can do all kinds of neat stuff with it. Like okay, the color adjustments that I was doing in the filters adjust all. Okay, all of this stuff. We can do that here. We have your color adjustment, your color add, value adjustment, and you have these things in here, and you can the neat part about it is you can keyframe changes throughout the whole animation. And check this out. This is cool. Since I was just kind of randomly picking something and I landed on threshold. Check this out. Let's bring the threshold to, say, something like, well, let's leave it up like this. Nah, let's go like that. Okay, now let's just apply it through the whole thing. And notice I didn't save and undo or anything. Well, it doesn't matter. I have these over here. This is really kind of cool. Okay, now I've got this. I can play it. And now alpha in Carrara is how visible something is. Okay, and I think that's the way it is in a lot of software. In Howler, we refer to alpha as what is selected. So let's say I take this lasso tool and I make this selection. Well, that right there is now, and go store alpha to take a look at it, and you see that that is what is selected. Okay, so now if I clear the alpha and I want that selection back, I just replace it like that. So alpha and selection are synonymous in Howler. Okay, very powerful. You can do all kinds of stuff with it, and now everything except this little blob is selected. I'm going to invert it back and replace it again. It's really neat, all of the different things you can do with alpha, which is your selections. And now let's subtract this from it. Boom. Now if I get this alpha, you'll see that I have that. Okay, so anyway, I'm getting off on the side. I always get off on sidetracks. Anyway, one thing that I can do with this thing now, which I think is just really, really cool, and I'm not too accustomed to doing this kind of thing yet, but I can use this as an animated selection. Okay, and now everything that is white is selected, and everything that is not white, everything that is black is not selected. And what's really cool about Howler is anything brighter than pure black is partially selected. Anything that is darker than pure white is partially selected. Pure white is fully selected, pure black is not at all selected, and everywhere in between is a gradual selection depending on the shade. Very, very cool stuff. Especially once you get to the idea that you can paint like this into the alpha channel. You have a interactive undo, which will help you. You see what's happening to that thing I just painted? I can make it any shade that I want by interactive undoing it, and paint within the alpha channel to create selections, which is really neat if you're trying to select around trees and stuff like that, and you really need to get precise. But this threshold is pretty neat too. But see, I could actually come in here and just paint into my selection if I want, but I'm not going to. I'm not really. Oh, now that I clicked this use as animated selection, watch when I click this change, you'll see the marching ants. It's kind of weird to see the marching ants now because of the fact that I still have this in there. I want to go like this. Now you can see the marching ants much better. And what isn't selected is black. Okay, so basically all of this stuff between the outside and this wing and all of this stuff in here is selected, whereas this little bit of stuff isn't selected. And this isn't a great example of it. I just want to show you that it's possible to do. And now we can do something like render sky, for example. Okay, and here we have a selection of gradients to choose from for the sky. It's crazy what all you can do with this software. But now we can change things around. I'm gonna cancel that. Filter. Let's do another render. Dread plating. Okay, I'm getting really goofy here. Cancel. Filter. Render. Let's go back to what is Starfield? Okay, and that doesn't look like a animated one. You can go to animation and filter, animated, Starry Night. Okay, and see what it's doing. Let's change the vector to here. There we go. And let's go add glows. Slow down the speed. I don't know what's going on with this. I don't know. I've never played with this tool before, so I really don't. Let's just reset this whole thing. And let's turn the speed up a little bit. Cool stuff. What does this do? Let's take a look at this. I'm sorry that I'm just goofing around like this. This is horrible. I should just get to the point. Well, I think I am getting to the point as I'm trying to show off this really super cool software and stuff that it does in a strange way. And so now you can see what was selected is now covered with this star field, and what wasn't selected remains. So let's just see what happens. And while it's not useful for what I've got here, it's just really neat to know what all you can, and I'm not even touching the tip of the iceberg. It's absolutely amazing what a person can do. Let's clear alpha. Okay, let's go to the timeline though, and I am going to use the transform. I probably passed it already, didn't I? Here we go. Transform. We're going to go to transform. Now, one thing I didn't like about this animation right from the start is that there's no camera movement whatsoever. There's that little bit of movement in the plane. That's kind of, it's horrible because it comes to this right there, and it just, no plane will ever come. I mean, they'll be smooth, but it'll never be that just. I can't even come up with the words for how terrible this is. Even though it's perfect for showing off an animation project like this, it's nice that the camera isn't moving. So it's showing how to get this stuff into, and you can see how even though I was in question on how fast I can get with these props before they start to look like they're not doing anything. They're already at a speed where sometimes it looks like they're going backwards. So that's a tough call, and I think that motion blur does that blurring object does a really decent job of making that look like props in motion. It's really kind of cool. I was actually going to use dog waffle and create an animated selection around the prop, the motion of the props, and put a motion blur in it, and now I don't even have to do that. So what am I going to do? And there again, if you want to add your little lens flares to the lights, or do things like motion blurs, specific selections and stuff like that, you're going to want to do that before you do what I'm doing now, because after doing what I'm doing here, it's going to become that much more difficult to do anything. I'm going to start this at 360 and bring that right up to, let's bring it fairly close. Bring it somewhere like right in there. Something like that. Maybe not. Maybe not. Let's keep it right in there. And then what I'm going to do, yeah, I guess I am going to do that, and then bring it down a little bit. Okay, something just like that. I'm going to apply a keyframe. Now I'm going to move a little further in, and that's where it starts to do that. So that's where I'm going to do a little less rotation, a lot less scale, and get this. Let's try and keep that pretty low still. And bring this into frame better, and yeah, we're gonna still have some of that and still keep this maybe as low as we can. I guess I could just leave this up a little bit and still keep that a little bit lower like that. Okay, keyframe that. And somewhere in here, that's where I'm going to bring my scale back. Bring it back, much more back into where it's supposed to be. I'm not accustomed to doing this particular type of change that much, as I think I mentioned already, but that's alright. Or, you got to start somewhere, right? Now let's just see where we are at 0 once. See if I can maybe apply a little bit of kind of an opposition jitter sort of thing. So now we're going to leave that there. And then I wanted to come back in here, I think, because I was talking about maybe applying some jitter. So maybe we'll scale that up a little bit. Now what I'm going to have to be careful for is, because I'm getting so close to those dark edges, that I'm going to have to try and make sure that I'm not seeing any of those black edges anywhere in there. You can see already that I've just made some drastic changes to the camera movement. Very big changes. Keyframe that, and now let's just apply that, And so I didn't like the camera movement, or the lack thereof. Well, instead of having to go into Carrara and re-render the entire thing with with camera movement, which can take quite a long time, depending on your scene. This one didn't take that long to render, but I mean, boy, it can actually really slow down your workflow. And look what just happened. I just totally, and I wasn't even spending really any time on it, just kind of cruised through it. Lost my focus because I just got a text message saying the dinner's ready. And it's kind of threw my thought process off a little bit, but already, I mean, look at that. And then okay, so now we can take that animation, store it, okay, and then I can do something crazy like let's put in a circle like that. I don't remember, did that thing start from the center? It did. Oh, but I couldn't see it. Okay. So now I want to go a little bit. Let's just undo that. And looks like I gotta go right around there. Okay. And then I'll go like this, go selection, grow alpha. I'm going to max that out. I'm going to do that again. And that's good enough. Now let's just go selection, Gaussian blur alpha, and I'm going to crank that up pretty big. Not that much, somewhere right in there. And then hit OK. And then let's just take a look at what that selection looks like. Let's go Gaussian, oops, cancel. And let's go selection, where's store alpha? Okay, and that's not quite what I wanted. I kind of wanted to have this close off in the middle, but nonetheless, this kind of gives the point across. Is now we can make an effect kind of like we're looking through a spyglass. Okay, so it's hit invert and then replace. Another thing, you don't have to go that route. You could simply just go selection invert alpha. Okay, but now let's go to, not exactly sure how to fill across an animation. So what I could do is just go swap, let's go selection clear alpha, clear selected to black, then go back here, and then we'll go replace, and we'll go animation. Oh wait, I think we could go filter, combine with swap, multiply, apply to all frames. Okay, and now we're looking through a pair of pair of binoculars, and we see this steam dragon cruising across, and we're not sure exactly what it's going to do. So, or maybe instead it's our pals that are in there, and the next little sequence that we see is this thing getting shot down, and so we can all start crying and run over there with our machine guns and see what we can do about it. But so there you have it. I'm just going to save this one and put this one up on YouTube as well, and add it to the 10-second Carrara challenge. I kind of hope you enjoyed this little tour. I know I didn't really show you nearly as much as what I'd like, because there's an awful lot to it. You can actually load animations into a brush. You can do all kinds of things with Howler, and don't worry, I'm going to be doing all kinds of little tutorials for using Carrara and Howler together, and some just on Howler, some just on Carrara, and probably some on some other stuff too. So until next time, catch you later. Thanks.